many points we gonna score? 30.
Call 911!
Nixon's condition is critical.
Unfortunately, your insurance will not cover this procedure.
Tell me that.
I can get the money.
You want your heart to get stronger, right? Eat your vegetables.
Hey, little bruh. What you need a ride, man?
Help! Help!
Nixon, you know your mama owes me a lot of money, right?
I told you don't take false money, man.
I took it all. I took all of it.
Hey, man, you know if you ever got any problems, man, we got problems, you know?
You got 4 hours to find my money.
What the hell we gonna do with the boy, man? Slice ain't gonna do nothing. He just want that money back.
Stop! Oh my God!
See that? Not us.
Become stronger when you fight. Promise me you're always gonna fight.
Okay, Dad. I'll keep fighting.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Icon Presents. Today, I have a very special opportunity, a follow-up episode, if you may. So, I will say, back when we first launched Icon Presents, on our second episode, I was able to connect with Mr. So Fine West Coast. Tragically, we found that he passed shortly after the episode aired, but we got to talk to him about the movie Run Nixon. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am joined by the man that made it all happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Icon presents Sky Direct.
Yo, appreciate you.
Oh man, it is amazing and awesome opportunity to be able to connect with you, man. I am.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you, putting on So Fine West to come up here do the interview.
Yes.
So I found out about it. I said, you guys do amazing jobs in the production and the interview. And I said, I'm going to show some love and support, especially, after the passing of our phenomenal, potential actors. That was going to be one of the biggest coming up. But, God took him a little bit too soon. But, I'm here to just keep on the marathon for him.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, man. I want to go into everything that kind of went into the movie Run Nixon, how that project kind of came to be, which you can kind of give you some behind the scenes details and all that kind of stuff. So, but first I want to know, how are you doing in LA right now? What are you up to?
Right now, one of my closest industry connections, he works at Sony. He just told me during Run Nixon, he says, once you make that, good job, but move on. Always move on. Don't just sit, don't just procrastinate and wait for something to happen with that one you made. No, just move on. And this was back in 2022 or something. And I did exactly that. I moved on and created my second feature. And then from there, I always kept him updated with everything. And then, he just said, he says, all you got to do is do what you keep doing, is moving on. And I'll be here when the time is right. And the time came up where I said, hey, I'm working on 10 slates of films. And would you guys be interested over at Sony? And they said, let's set up a meeting. When I sent him the deck, he was like, let's set up a meeting. So I went to LA, had a beautiful meeting about the 10 slate of films. And now we're going to conversation on which one to go with first.
Nice.
So, I'm just keeping on that theory of just moving on.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you got big moves going on.
I mean, you know what? I think since I came out the womb, I had big moves going on.
All right. Yeah. I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. So I'm going to get a little bit of your backstory, but we're here to talk about Run Nixon because it's coming to streaming now. So now you get to have more eyes on the project. You said it's going to be on Prime, it's going to be on Tubi and Apple TV, right?
Yeah. Apple TV was a first notification, which was amazing. Was when our distributor said we got Apple TV, I was like, yo, we didn't have Tubi, we didn't have Amazon. We had Apple TV was the first one that selected the film. And getting that notification and that message was like, wow. And I'm looking at Apple TV. I'm like, I'm not seeing too many independent movies on there. They do big movies and stuff. So coming from this concept of Run Nixon being an idea and a dream to making it to AMC and then making it to Apple TV, you know, is big, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a blessing.
I got you. So for the audience and for myself that you may not, give us some insight as to, or a summary of Run Nixon.
So Run Nixon is about a boy who's challenged with a heart condition, and during this basketball game, he drops to the ground and has considered a heart attack, and he gets rushed to the hospital. The parents, played by Fizz from B2K and Cicely Cameron from the Bay Area, who's the mom, have to figure out what to do because they got this bill, no insurance, he has to do a heart transplant, and they can't afford it. So the mom, played by Cicely, she works at a strip club. She robs the club to pay for the surgery. And then everything turns bad because the person she robs, which is, his name is Jordan Lee Brown, his character name is Slice, finds out and he comes looking for his money. And he knows she did it.
Yeah.
He takes the little boy hostage. Now the dad has to figure out how to get his son back.
Yeah. That is such an intense, like, I remember when I was talking to Sophie, he was like, it's a family movie. And I was like, that's wild. But I understood the point. Is like, as a father myself, it's like, if your kids are, you know, sick or anything like that, it's like, that's some of the worst things. Like, you can't really rest until, you know, they're doing better. So my kids thank God, have never had any serious conditions or anything like that. For me, when I was a kid, I stayed up in the hospital all the time. So I kept my parents, you know, up at night, kind of worrying about that type of stuff. So it's like, man, I understand the idea or the concept of, hey, sometimes you might find yourself in compromising positions. And it's like, sometimes you don't make the best decisions when, you know, your back's up against the wall and you're trying to look for a way out. Now, what was your inspiration for that?
My uncle, who passed away, I never got a chance to meet him, but he passed away from heart failure. Okay. So he basically gave me the story in my dreams, and I woke up and started writing exactly what he was giving me. And I never wrote before, so I didn't think I could write. Right. But I wrote 30 to 60 pages that day of just everything he was feeding me of the story. And everything kind of deleted, but, you know, I was able to rewrite everything again with, you know, more passion into it. And that's where it stemmed from. My uncle, he had a heart condition that my grandparents didn't know of. He played a lot of sports in high school, and he'll come home tired. So, you know, they're assuming he's just tired. Yeah. And one day he came home, he was tired. I remember my mom telling me a story. She said he fell asleep at like 8 o'clock coming from practice. And then he woke up, she went to school, and she knocked on the door and said, "Brian," that's his name, "are you coming to school?" And she thought he was asleep. And so she goes to school because he never answered her. And then she gets a phone call from her school to come up to the principal's office, and her parents are there. And they say, "Brian passed away." Oh, wow. And he never woke up that day. And it was just so like, it was so cold and like, wow, that's just crazy, because he kind of told my grandparents that he wasn't feeling good. Yeah. And we show this through the movie. It's just just a small line of the symptoms of what, you know, they show is just being tired, not feeling good, not wanting to eat. But they're playing sports, so you never think anything. Right. Of it. And, you know, and that's just kind of where the story came. I just kind of took that and just made it, you know, I didn't make the little boy pass away, but I just made it go on.
Wow, man. You know, that I would say that kind of resonates with me, because so when I was younger, I don't know what it was called or whatever like that, but I have this whole backstory where I got in a bike accident and all that kind of stuff when I was younger, starting my growth and all that stuff. So by the time I was like 13 to 16 years old, I didn't really grow. So they had me on like growth hormone and all that kind of stuff. My body absorbed that really, really fast. So so I was still active. Yeah. I played sport, I played basketball. I was on the school dance team and doing all that kind of stuff. I used to skate and do all this stuff. And then I realized that after every time we went out, I would go to the afterwards we'd be at the house and I'd be limping. I was like, man, my leg is killing me. Right. I didn't know what it was. I was like, I must have hurt myself or overexerted myself or something like that. And then my parents were always like, yo, you good? You see, like, what's going on? You doing all this limping? And I was like, oh, no, I'm good. And my dad's a musician. So one day we were heading to practice and I was pulling some of his equipment out the car and I fell out the car. I tried to land on my leg and I completely collapsed. And he was like, yo, that's it. I'm taking you to the hospital. So the next day they said, hey, after your school, we're going to take you to the hospital. Where I got out the car that day and I was at the school and I could not move. I come to find out after we did x-rays and all that kind of stuff, my leg had basically completely disconnected from my hip. It was just hanging there, basically. Wow. That's there. Ended up getting surgery, getting pins and all that kind of stuff put together and everything. But that just made me think of like, man, a lot of times because I was an active kid, I never really paid attention to the deeper symptoms as to like what actually was. Right. It was just like, oh no, I'll be fine or whatever like that. And I had a lot of pain on my knee, but I thought that that's what that was from. So it's like, man, you got to pay attention to kids. You got to pay attention to yourself. You got to pay attention to a lot of things. And that's,
yeah, you do.
And it's an interesting lesson that you learn in that movie that kind of it teaches you that. So you said you got, what's his name from B2K?
Fizz.
Fizz from B2K. How'd you get connected with him?
This was, we had a relationship from the time he left the group B2K, when them and the Marion split up. Kuda Love, who discovered Nelly and Mace and was Biggie's road manager, picked up Fizz once they had broken up. And I got connected with Kuda from just being in the industry, and they wanted me to film their reality show. So I was filming their show all the way back then. I'm the one that probably kind of started the reality concept and put it on YouTube. Like I was before Love and Hip Hop.
Oh, okay.
And we had like millions of views. We sold the concept to Warner Brothers. So we had the relationship all the way back then. So it just made sense for me to reach out to him and say, hey, I think you should play this dad.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's cool. That's cool. Any juicy details you can give? Like, what's he up to these days?
He's spent a lot of time with his son. He has a son, so his son is in basketball. I think he's coaching the basketball team. I think he's getting prepared for not another Love and Hip Hop, but I think something around that sort.
I got you. Love and Hip Hop is an interesting platform because he got some interesting characters that come from that. Yeah, like definitely. Cardi B came from
exactly.
Love and Hip Hop and so many others. But it's like
Mona Scott.
Yeah, it's like it's wild. It's wild. I'm like my sister, my cousin used to love watching that show. Me and my cousin's wife, we weren't really into that show, so we were like, all right, cool, y'all watch that. We gonna watch something else over here for us. But it's a different demographic. You said he back obviously that was he was with Omarion and all them. Like you ever when You Got Served? What was You Got Served? Right when Omarion was.
That was like 2008, I think.
You Got Served. You ever tried to do the whole dancing in the rain thing?
No, I never did.
Nah?
No, I actually wasn't a fan of the boys because all the girls would be walking around like holding their posters with them and in the folder. To my B2K, I'm like, man, like who cares? Like, do you even know them? Like,
right? Hey, it is what it is, man. So tell me a little bit about the your challenges that you ran into with the production of this movie.
What? I was getting beat up left and right. There was like, wow. It was a lot of challenges. We started off, I think day one was, just raising the money was a challenge. You know, it's not easy raising money for a movie. I mean,
what's your process for that? Do you do like a GoFundMe? Or
I did a GoFundMe. That was crazy. That was my approach after I was doing a bunch of meetings trying to pitch people to, get the money. Someone said, hey, if you shoot a trailer, we'll invest into it. So I shot a trailer. They fell off the face of the earth. And then I did a GoFundMe towards before the pandemic. And I was holding a sign in front of the Netflix building. Me and Jordan Lee Brown, who plays Slice, held a sign that says, go to GoFundMe, support my movie, Run Nixon. And that was right in front of the Netflix building, but it was not good timing. It was Christmas, it was raining, so that didn't work. Fast forward to me moving to Vegas after the pandemic, and I meet this gentleman named Brian Cooper, who plays a producer in the film, and he's from New York. He's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a movie director, I'm working on a movie. And it's crazy. I call myself a movie director. Yeah. And that was my first movie. And I never shot it. But you know what I'm saying? It was like,
I got you.
If someone asked me, someone asked me, what movie have you shot? I'd be like, shit, don't ask me that damn question.
Exactly. No follow-up questions.
Yeah, no follow-ups. No one ever asked me that, luckily. But we go on a hunt, location scouting. And that's where I ran into our first investor named Steve. And he invested 30 grand, who owned the strip club. And, it was a crazy story how he came about, but that became our first investment. And then we had a couple more I ended up selling my car to finish the movie.
Okay.
And that was one of the biggest challenges because we ran out of money maybe 10 days in. My DP quits. I got to hire my second AC, Matt, who took over. And then we ran out of money. We had to put it on pause. I sold my car and we came back, picked it up and finished it. But like throughout the movie, there was just independent challenges, just every day, whether it was food, it was lodging, it was us hiring a sound guy in Vegas who shows up with like DJ equipment. It was like, you know,
what are you expecting to do with this?
What is going on? Yes, it was just so many challenges, you know, every day was a challenge.
I got you. What about the distribution? Like you're getting it on Apple TV and all that kind of stuff. Was there anything that held you up from like, were you expecting this to go faster? Because I gotta be honest, when I first connected with SoFi, I was like, well, I didn't know it was still in it. It kind of wrapped up on its theatrical run, right? It was in AMC theaters.
Right.
First off, sidestep. How'd you get into the AMC theaters, man?
Man, you know, I think that came about with just the blessing of wanting to pursue my dreams of having a movie in theaters. So for the distribution question, I was on a hunt of trying to sell the film. We were talking to a lot of distributors and a lot of people wanted it, but they wanted to do like a 10-year contract, minimum 3-year contract. And I heard the horror stories of people, you know, not giving you the money. You don't have control of the money. You don't know where the money's going. And they can say the money went to so many different places and give you your percentage, but you'll never know.
Exactly.
And it was just not feeling right. So we didn't sign with nobody. And I was watching this, heard this story about this lady had a movie during the pandemic called Tosa. And she had a theatrical run through regional theaters. And it just inspired me to just like look into that. Because I said, if she can do it, and that's where I want to be anyways, then why not? You know, why don't I figure that out? And I started researching and I came across AMC and I reached out to this lady named Nicole Randolph, who was... she's a supervisor of AMC.
Okay.
Sent her a beautiful story. She ends up playing the movie, watching the movie, and then 2 weeks later says, hey, we want to pick up your movie.
Okay.
And that's how it came about.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty nice. Okay, cool. So you had that big success with Run Nixon, right? So you got you're having it in the eyes of many more people coming shortly, which is going to be a lot of fun. What's next for you?
So really, I mean, after this Run Nixon, What Are You Afraid Of drops towards the end of the year.
Okay, what's that about?
That's about 5 teenagers travel up through the woods and they're just getting chased by these I don't want to call them racist, but they're getting chased by white people and they're minorities. And it's during Halloween. They don't know who it is, and it's a mass killer that's on a chase, and that mass killer is killing off each one of them individually.
Oh dang! So you're going with the horror for the next movie?
Yeah, that one's like a horror thriller.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay.
And then after that, we're doing the sequel to Run Nixon called Slice the Revenge.
Oh.
Yeah. So when they watch Run Nixon, they'll see why it's a sequel.
Why it's a sequel? Okay. Now I got to check it out. Oh well, I was already going to check it out, but now we really got to.
Yeah.
Got to put it out
all
there.
the way to the end.
That's freaking awesome. Okay, so I got a question for you as a up and coming director.
Yeah, shoot it.
Because the industry, you had the theatrical run for your movies, but it's constantly out there that movie theaters are dying and all that stuff, right? So you're going into or busting out into the film industry on another level. Do you see any of these, are any of these kind of like warning signs for you? Or have you learned anything? Or do you see any flaws that it's like, oh, this is how I'm going to avoid making certain mistakes that other people, because I have my own beliefs as to why certain things fail. But when you have a movie that gets like praised, basically like, what was that movie? The Fall Guy, right? That movie got positive reviews from many people.
Okay, right.
But it's still box office flop, essentially. It didn't do what they expected to do. And then you have things out there that, like with Disney, most of this stuff keeps flopping, but everybody can kind of understand why they keep flopping. It's because they have their own agendas and reasons why they do certain things. But when you have something that's good flop, it kind of becomes a bigger warning sign. Does any of that concern you at all, getting into this industry and kind of building out?
I mean, what we can't control, I think it's a little all over the place as far as like where back in the days, like in the early 2000s or the 90s, it was like movies were, everybody would go to the movies. And I think from the pandemic, everyone's trying to figure out how to get people back into the movies successfully. During my time at the theaters, I realized a lot of films weren't successful. I think Oppenheimer came out, $100 million film, and nobody went to go watch that movie, but people were going to go watch Beyonce. That was sold out everywhere. So I think what it is it's boiling down to the people, like who's really in the movie. Yeah. And who's making the movie? Will Smith with Bad Boys.
That's doing great right now.
Exactly. So it's like, when you got a franchise film like that, it does good. Anything with, Will Smith is going to pull in numbers.
Yeah, and Oppenheimer ended up doing well, but it kind of tagged on along with Barbie. So it became the whole Barbenheimer thing.
Well, exactly. Because Barbie did it phenomenal. So, but they spent, I think, over $100 million.
Yeah, they spent a ton on marketing.
Yeah, they spent a ton. So, but for me, it doesn't worry me because I'm in a challenge of, I'm so independent and I'm so like at the beginning stages where I'm able to build an audience, and I'm making sure that the name Sky Directs is in the front runner, so it becomes a brand that people can remember. And when I do drop a movie or do drop a project, people do want to come out, like Spike Lee or Michael Bay or Steven Spielberg. When they hear that name Sky Directs, it's like, okay, I know I'm getting a quality movie and I'm getting people that are talented.
Yeah. So do you have any directors that you pull inspiration from?
I would say Michael Bay. If you could take Michael Bay with his action, you could take
and his lens flares and
his lens flares. You take Steven Spielberg with his his moody tone, that like slow moody tone. His music, the composer that he uses. If you take John Singleton with the rawness and the edginess and the realness of our community, our culture, you blend all three of them guys up and you shoot out a fucking baby, you get Sky Directs. And that's where I love all my inspiration from.
Okay, got you. So probably your I don't even have to ask you kind of movies you liked or inspired you, because you just pulling inspiration from all of them. Yeah. Then like with the Transformers movies, Michael Bay.
I don't really, to be honest, I don't like Transformers. I fall asleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode.
I can't stay tuned for that long. He goes on too long. It's like, when do we end this shit? But I like Michael Bay back in the day. I like movies back in the days. Okay. The movies today, I'm not a fan. I haven't caught anything.
So nothing these days is really grabbing your attention.
None. It's just I watch older movies and I just keep it there, and I'm like, okay. And that's my problem. Is like I was going after AMC, and AMC might be dead, as far as like, but it's like I still believe in hoping real raw movies like back in the 90s, and I still believe the theater and that silver screen matters.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy watching. I love watching movies. Like, I don't go to the theater as much as I used to. Like when me and my wife used to go, we used to go to the theater all the time. Yeah. And go see all kinds of movies, from Marvel movies to all kinds of stuff. The magic is not necessarily there the way it was before. A lot of times I remember the first time I ever walked out of a theater disappointed was going to see Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was absolutely horrible. It's one of the most boring movies I could have ever seen. I literally fell asleep on the movie. Yeah. I was like, gosh, am I falling asleep on a Marvel movie? This is crazy. But then you have movies like Godzilla -1, and that movie they did that on a shoestring budget. And man, that movie...
It's the most recent one?
The most recent one. Not the Godzilla and Kong one, but the Japanese one.
I watched that one. That was good.
That movie
quality was beautiful. Great.
Yes, exactly. And you know how much they did that movie for?
Good. I think it was 20 million?
11.
Oh, it was 11.
11 million. Yeah. It was absolutely insane. First they said it was 20 million, but then the creator of it, he said, no, we wish we had 20 million. He was like, nah, it was $11 million.
That quality was good. They know what they're doing out in Japan. I thought it was going to be like a little a little funky, but I was like, nah, this is really good.
Exactly.
Color correction, the quality. I was a big fan of like the production of that movie.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I was shocked. My guys call me a cynic all the time because every time like a movie comes out, I'll get on our group chat and I'll be like, this movie was absolute trash and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then,
you're a real like movie buff. Like you really go into like a movie critic. Okay.
Yeah. And then I was like, the character development was weak, the story and all that kind of stuff, the plots were. And then I get on there and I was like, Godzilla -1 had me tearing up towards the end of it. And then they were like, dang, Antoine, first of all, you're too cold-hearted for a movie to start having you tear up. So we know it gotta be good.
It's gotta be, yeah.
But it was just a ton of fun. And I absolutely love that. I was like, this is amazing. So it felt good. So I'm excited to check out Run Nixon at home and have my wife check it out too. And we'll kind of watch it together to kind of see, okay, this is what it is. And I think I'm gonna have a bias to it now. Now that I met you, met Sophie, I feel like I'm tied into this. Let's see if I can give an honest opinion.
Yeah, hey, listen. Honest opinion works. I mean, it was my first film. It was like one of those. The crazy thing about that movie is the last scene of the movie, which towards the last couple of days of the filming, we had everybody quit. Like all the crew quit. Nobody came back to finish the movie. My DP was like, it was just my DP, Brian, my sound guy. That was the main crew. And we're talking about a movie. We're not talking about like a music video. It's like a movie.
Right.
Movies got minimum 50-man crews and things like that. And I just said, yo, let's ignore who's not here. Let's just focus on who is here and let's make the best of it and let's finish this movie. Yeah. Let's get it done. Because if we don't get it done, then what do we spend all this, time
and money and everything like that?
It's going to be pointless. So let's just get it done. And we did. And I think that was like the magic. There were so many magic scenes like that. That was like I had crew quit 3 times. In the middle, when Nixon's running away from the kidnapper, Slice. Yeah. That day, my sound man, who was from Hollywood, quit. And this is how I had her, the DJ person that showed up. Okay. He's like, hey, Sky, I love you, man. You're doing a great job. I believe I'm rooting for you. You got it. But hey, man, I think you should pack it up and leave, man. Like, find a new mom, talking about her, Stacy, the mom. He's like, find a new mom and just redo it. Just wait.
Why in the world would he have
in the middle of, like, we're going to our next location and he literally, him and his crew, because he brought his guys, they quit. I'm like, fucking hey. What do you do?
Dang.
Yeah,
that's
so
rough.
That movie has so many like raw, real shit that and then we go film that scene after that. After that,
him running down the alley.
Magic. Yeah, him running down the alley. And
that's crazy.
So it's just like that movie. I can't, I wish I could provide the film that quality production that it deserved and the big budget and the real crew. And then get none of that. It got what it got. And, I got it done. But it's like, I think people are going to just watch how authentic it is.
I love it, man. Yeah. I love it. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man.
For sure, yeah.
So do you have anything else that you want to leave with the people? Kind of, so you're coming up as a independent director, writer, editor, all of the above, man of many hats.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to leave with the people?
Man, listen, when you just, for me, a lot of people are starting to get behind me, especially in the industry, and what they're telling me is why they're getting behind me is because they're just motivated how inspiring I am as far as how I don't give up, how I don't quit, and the challenges I go through, and I don't sit and wait for someone to come give me the opportunity. I go take the opportunity. I crashed Kevin Hart's office over the weekend, and it's just like you got to just do shit that's outside the box and be. You could be strategic. You could plan as much as you fucking want, but at the end of the day, if anybody's out there that's just sitting trying to get to this point or get to a higher point wherever you're trying to get to, just got to go out there and just do it. Kind of break it down step by step and just ask yourself like, okay, what do I need to make this happen? Don't sit and wait on that too much. Don't look for the most perfect thing to make it happen, and just really just go for it. If you gotta, I don't. Say go get a camera phone and go film a movie. But, if you got to go rent a camera for a couple bucks, go get a job or pay for it and get the camera and then film it, schedule out, shoot it, edit, put it out.
Hey, man, that new iPhone 15 Pro Max with it, when you can attach an SSD to it, Oh man, and shoot in RAW?
You can shoot in RAW.
Yeah, man. I've seen some beautiful stuff on that. So, you know, you got to start. You got to start.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go for it.
Exactly. So the movie is dropping on streaming when?
June 19th. Juneteenth, Run Nixon drops. Apple TV, Amazon, and then you can watch it free on Tubi.
I got you. How can people support you if they wanted to?
Man, just follow me on the gram, Sky to Rex. That's where the movement is at.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking out the time to join me today. Thank you guys so much for joining me on another episode of Icon Presents. Be sure to check out Run Nixon on Apple TV, Tubi, and Amazon or Prime TV. Thank you so much again for taking out the time and listening. Such an inspirational story. I'm excited to see everything that's coming from the future for you. I'll tell you, Icon is here to assist you in any way that we actually can. So with that being said, y'all take it easy.